up? Thank you so much for being here for my How to Get Away with Murder live chat today. I am super excited to be talking about this episode, mostly because of the crazy ending, but there's some other stuff that I want to talk about as well. How are you guys doing? Go ahead and say hello, and I will say hi back. I see Avalon is here and E is here. Thank you guys so much for being here. Hi, I'm going to type hi. How are you guys? Anyway, I swear there's been some kind of issue with this system lately because I've been live and it says like people aren't in the room, but they're in the room because they're commenting. So I don't know what's up with that. Hello, Moonglade. Hello, Nick. Hello, Jay. Thank you guys so much for being here. So we have a lot to talk about. I'm kind of waiting for some more people to get into the room before I really get into stuff. But I will go ahead and start with the ending. Now, I think there are some super red herrings because I really feel like the fact that Michaela was calling Nate's phone and he didn't answer because Bonnie had his phone, and then you saw Annalise breaking down. I think they definitely want us to believe that Nate is dead, and I just feel like this show is way too smart to put all of that out there and be so blatant about it and it really be Nate. So I'm taking Nate off the table, even if any of you were wondering if he was the dead person. I don't think it's him. Now, it did make me very concerned to see Annalise break down in that way because earlier this season, I was thinking someone died who was a disposable character who she didn't really care about. But there's also a couple of ways to look at this. Is she breaking down because she's, you know, a person whoever died is someone super close to her and she loves this person? Or is she breaking down because she feels like she's going to be implicated in this crime, or she got caught doing something bad, or somebody else got caught doing something bad that is really going to be trouble for them? So I don't know. Now, I definitely think they wanted us to believe that she was breaking down because she was so distraught over whoever died, right? Another huge revelation in this episode was the fact that we got to see a picture of Bonnie's sister, and her sister is not her twin. This was a different actress. So that throws out like all of our theories that we talked about last week, where we were wondering if perhaps the Bonnie at the wedding is evil Bonnie because it was her twin, because it's not her twin. I mean, I feel like a lot of stuff was revealed. Also, the fact that her sister has some man living with her who is around the age of Bonnie's son, but that his DNA proved to be not the DNA of Bonnie. Now, Brianna is saying that it has to be someone important to Annalise because she never breaks down. You're thinking either Bonnie or Nate, and worst case scenario, her mom. Are you talking about Annalise's mom? Now, I don't know why she would be at the wedding, but perhaps she could be killed because it's like a revenge situation and she wasn't at the wedding. Anyway, hi, Luke. Thank you so much for being here. So Moonglade is saying Annalise is getting closer to Tegan, so maybe Tegan dies. Now, they definitely have established that they are getting really, really close. But it would be super weird to me to think that we kind of just met Tegan last season and all of a sudden, like, Annalise is, like, freaking distraught over her death. I mean, the way she was breaking down reminded me of the way she broke down over Wes's death. So it definitely seemed to be, like, someone on that level. But we also need to think about who is still, like, who is still missing from the wedding scene. So we know that Oliver is still missing. We know that Nate is still missing. Both of those people have definitely been implicated and are huge red herrings potentially, because they've definitely wanted to make us think in the last couple of weeks that either one of those people are dead. Now, Nick is wondering if it is Asher. I would say that Annalise is not a close, she's not close to Asher at all. However, she has definitely gone out of her way to push him away this season. So her reaction could be guilt because maybe her actions and the fact that she like left him out of stuff led to his murder, if that is who it is. So that's interesting as well. Definitely by the episode, I'm changing my ideas of who is our dead person because we keep getting a lot of information and clues in each episode, which I think is really helpful because I also think in the last couple seasons, it seems like this show has really dragged and there were just so many like filler episodes where nothing was, revealed. And this season, I feel like things actually happen in every single episode. So Brianna is asking the question that they definitely want all of us to be asking right now is, why did Bonnie have Nate's phone? And I'm sure there's a million different reasons, maybe some very logical explanations, but we don't know why. At this point, we really have no idea. James says, you don't think Annalise broke down over the death, but over what Frank told her before she slapped him. So we also know that's part of the flash forward scene. Whatever he said to her made her very upset. So that's another possibility that it's not she's so distraught over who was murdered, or who dies or whatever, but she was distraught over some information that she received. E ships Tegan and Annalise. So there's been some hinting around that there could be something with them, but then there could also be something with Michaela, who like definitely really looks up to Tegan and really wants her to think highly of her or whatever. So, you know, I felt like it was another good episode. I feel like we get a little bit bogged down with the story of Nate's dad, and I think that, that was a huge part of last season. And I understand why, you know, they have that in the series, but at the same time, I think they get really stuck on storylines in this show, kind of like with Laurel's dad and Laurel's family. And I feel like we're kind of going down this same path of, you know, Nate's father, and we're spending a lot of time on that. And I'm not trying to say that that's not an important case, and it is, but I'm just wondering like where we're going with that and how much time we can spend on that, because honestly, I get a little bored when we're so stuck on like outside characters and their storylines, you know. Luke says, are you the only one who thinks Bonnie is weirdly different in the flash forwards, like you feel like there's a twin or something? Well, I mean, that is definitely the theory that I had last week, but if you remember in this episode, they showed a picture of the adult sister of Bonnie, and I mean, I kept staring at it, and maybe I didn't, you know, I was watching it like live on TV, so I wasn't able to like pause it or anything, but my question is, did you guys see that that was Liza in that photo, Liza who plays Bonnie? To me, it looked like a totally different actress. Like I was staring really hard, like looking and trying to figure out, is that her? I mean, is that Bonnie? But it didn't look like that actress. It looked like a different person. So last week, I was absolutely sure that it was Evil Twin at the wedding. And I think she does seem kind of weird and like sinister at the wedding, but I also think they want us to think that, and I'm almost thinking that they want us to think that she killed Nate or something, like just she's really being really weird. We had that really strange scene of her with the blood on the ankle earlier, and just, you know, even though it's a flash forward, just a lot of like interesting plots this season, and a lot of questions and a lot of things that we have questions about, and I think it's really good. Now, James is asking if I think the reason Connor was selected for the K5 is deeper than what we first seemed. So that was another interesting part of the story. However, you know, basically Frank lied to Oliver saying that, you know, she has files. Maybe she does, but he was trying to cover his tracks about Gabriel and like, you know, we have to investigate him because of the stuff going on with Annalise currently. So, is there more to the Connor thing? Connor got really mad about it. Is there more to like his past or what? That was very interesting. So Mustafa thinks that it is Nate's dad who is the victim, which is interesting. Avalon says, is Gabriel the son or grandson of the lady who Annalise helped get out of jail and she died of a drug overdose from last season? So interesting point here. We know that Gabriel had an assault charge, and it was because he beat up somebody. I think he assaulted someone who was over-medicating his mom, or who the person he, you know, calls his mom. I think that it was a doctor who was like over-medicating. Isn't that how I took it? Now, I don't know if that's connected to the woman who Annalise was helping who died of a drug overdose. I didn't make that connection, but possibly. Callie, thank you. You know, lately a lot of people are watching this to make memes, so I've got to be like, you know, the hair game has to be strong, right? I have no idea what's going on with that, but last night my phone was absolutely blowing up with being tagged on Instagram and Twitter in memes. I mean, it's hilarious. I don't know. So Mean says, yes, that Gabriel beat up the doctor. That is how I understood it. Let me go back to more of your comments here. Luke is asking, does Gabriel know that Bonnie is his mom? So it definitely seems like Bonnie is his mom, yet they have not blatantly said Bonnie is his mom. We know Bonnie has a kid, the kid's alive, but again, it hasn't been told that for sure that's her kid, but I think that it is. We're supposed to assume that, but I don't know why they haven't like come out and said he's her kid. I don't know. So I'm kind of confused what the secrecy is there. So Yeen says they showed us Bonnie's sister at the crack house. Nate got that guy's DNA tested. Yes. So whoever was living with Bonnie's sister is not Bonnie's child, basically. That's what we found out in this episode. Mr. Osman says, you would personally love to learn of Michaela's backstory. We knew she grew up being adopted and poor, but what made her pursue this life? So that is super interesting as well. And I hope that, you know, we do explore all of those Keating characters and try to find out what is exactly their backstory, because I'm sure it's important to who they are today. Hi, niece. Thank you so much for being here. Moon says, if Gabriel isn't Bonnie's son, maybe he is Hannah Keating's, Sam's sister's son, because that would explain how Frank knows Gabe's mom. Right. So definitely, we've talked about this before, but Gabriel has a super agenda. And it's just like they really try so hard to connect him with Bonnie with all this stuff going on about Bonnie's kid. But you know how they always like to twist things around. I mean, they even showed him Googling her. It's to the point, and it has been in like every episode, and a lot of you guys have mentioned it, but it's like so much, I mean, it's like overkill. They're trying so hard to show us that Gabriel and Bonnie are connected, that, you know, we make the assumption that, yeah, Gabriel is Bonnie's son. So what if he isn't, right? So what if he's connected to somebody else? I mean, I even thought he could be connected to Laurel's family, which I'm super sick of that storyline. But I thought something else that was super interesting was when he was, you know, Googling Bonnie, an article came up about Wes. And then I started thinking, like, is he related to Wes? I mean, maybe not by blood, but possibly. But also, is he related with the Mahoney situation? Is there something else going on with that? I mean, I thought it was a little bit weird that they threw Wes into that. Maybe that had nothing. Maybe there was no point or whatever. So Mustafa is asking a question that some of you guys have definitely asked before, which I have an answer for this, but we'll talk about it. Wondering if the plot twist could be that Gabriel is Annalise's son. Now, we did see the moment when she was playing with Laurel's son when she was flashbacking to herself being pregnant. I would actually have a big problem with this if they said that her son lived, because we actually had the flashback of her holding her dead baby. So I think that was kind of morbid anyway, but I think it's like beyond morbid to come back and say the baby's alive. Now, I'm not saying that the baby she was holding didn't actually die, but like that's almost trying to tell us that she was given like someone else's dead baby, but her baby was off, you know, living with someone else. And what's the point? Because remember, the Mahoneys wanted her, well, I don't know if they wanted her to lose her baby, but I guess they wanted Frank to kill her or whatever at that point. So I don't know. I just feel really weird with the fact, if we knew she had lost a baby, but we'd never seen it or anything, I would be okay with it. But the fact that we saw her holding the stillborn is kind of weird to me if they come back and say, well, that wasn't her baby. It was like, okay, so then they had they had someone else just happen to have a stillborn baby, and then they gave her that. I mean, that's just so weird, and just so many, it's so extra. Like, it's just too much. So James says Pete Norwalk said in an interview this season would be similar to season 2 and have a flashback with Frank, Annalise, Bonnie, and Sam. So that's interesting right there, you know. Nee says, you're glad they didn't go with the twin storyline. At least we know it's really Bonnie at the wedding party. I'm totally happy with this. The twin story is, you know, usually used by shows that aren't very creative and have no new ideas. And I feel like this show's always been smarter than that. And even though it sometimes has its slow moments and its moments that I don't agree with, I just think it's too advanced to have the fallback theory, the fallback answer that, oh, it's a twin, you know, that's how we can explain everything, and have that one actor or actress play both roles. I don't know. Avalon says they showed a part of the clip, that lady, hold on a second. They showed a past clip of that lady at the jail with Annalise and then went to a clip showing Gabriel. There was some other comment here that I really wanted to get to. And oh, Moonglade says, wondering if what's his name? Gabriel is Wes's foster brother. You mean, I don't know. I mean, could he be there to try to figure out what really happened with Wes or something like that? I don't know. I just thought it was a little bit weird that we threw him back into it. But knowing that possibly Sam is going to, you know, Sam keeps coming back, you know, in this show, but is Sam going to have something to do with Gabriel? I don't know. Mr. Osmond says, you wonder if the idea of Gabriel being Bonnie's son is a misdirection. See, I'm starting to think that, and I know a lot of you guys have thought that since the first episode this season. So it's just so much. Like every episode, they try so hard to show us that those two are connected. And it's really ridiculous. And this is not a show that is super obvious. And they always have twists and turns. If it was a super obvious show, I would be like, yeah, you know, 100% sure that's her son. But I don't know, you know. It's starting to feel, it already felt way obvious. Now it's just to the point of ridiculousness. Nick says you feel like Oliver might have been involved or at least witnessed this murder happen. I know there's been like a lot of drama about Oliver in the past, and people, including myself, at some point wanted him to be evil. But I think it would be really sad if he is the one who's murdered. That's really depressing. I hope not. I mean, honestly, part of me really wants it to be someone that we care about who dies, because I think they need to do something big. Because, you know, like if it's Tegan or Nate's dad, or just like random, to me those are just random people. Ronnie, who is like Bonnie's boyfriend. Did anyone else think it was really weird that she had to sign a paper about their consensual relationship? I thought it was really weird. I still think that guy is shady and up to no good, and I still think he's gonna do something terrible. But anyway, if it's like one of those people who's murdered, like who really cares? I don't care at all. And I might be sad if someone important dies, but at least I would care. Mr. Osmond says Oliver brings levity to the group, so his death would be felt. Yeah, I think that would be super sad, and I definitely think Annalise would be super depressed about it. And I also think that, you know, she has Oliver do a lot of her dirty work and stuff, and she puts him in danger. And, you know, what if she put him in danger, and what if he got murdered? I don't know. I'm not super feeling that he's going to get killed, but it's like, I don't have a really great idea. Like usually, I mean, give me some time, but you know, I think the last episode before we take a break is like November 7th. But usually I have like a pretty clear idea of a couple people, and I did a couple weeks ago, but they keep throwing all of these like twists and turns in there. And then every theory I have has to change, which is totally cool. I really like that. So Luke says, remember when we all thought it was Nate who was under the sheet last season, and it was a main character instead, and now they're making us think Nate again. What if it's a main character who died? Right. So I'm starting to wonder, like, would they go, they've already killed off Wes, which was really huge, but would they go big again and kill off one of the students, you know, basically? They're not going to kill Annalise, so I don't know, you know? Niece says you thought the relationship paper was weird too, but you guess that's what they do to avoid sexual harassment claims at the workplace. I understand that. I totally do, but I also think they spent a lot of time showing us that paperwork, focusing on it, and I think something's going to come into play with that, because they definitely had a couple of scenes showing that, showing her looking at it, showing her sign that. Sabrina says you don't think Gabriel is Bonnie's son anymore because they made it too obvious yet have never actually confirmed it. Absolutely. Sabrina says the way they were showing Gabriel looking at the article with Wes's picture makes you think he is somehow connected. Definitely. Absolutely. Avalon says, under this Me Too era, you think he was smart for having her do that, sign the paper. I can get that too. I do get that, but I also get wrong vibes from him. And I didn't really take it as, you know, he was trying to protect himself and it was on the up and up. Like, I've always felt weird about him, and I also still can't get over the fact, and maybe it means nothing, but the fact that he was, like, insistent that Bonnie, like, hooked up with him at work. I just think that's so bizarre. Like, why wouldn't they go to her house or his house? Doesn't she live alone now? I don't know. And, like, you know, if he was, like, really dying to hook up with her, wouldn't he, like, invite her to his home? Like, why are they in the office doing this? And it wasn't like it was, like, a moment of passion. Like, it was kind of, like, thought out, and he talked about it, then they ordered food or something. I think that's weird, and I'm, like, wondering if that's going to be used in some way against her, if he filmed it, or something bizarre. I don't know. I just thought that was really, really strange for adults to be, like, organizing a hookup in an office. Like, what's the point? Why don't you go to someone's house? So Yeen says it's kind of weird with the contract, but we live in a Me Too world. And I get that, and maybe that's the point they were trying to make. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know. Again, even if that was what that was, I feel like Ronnie cannot be trusted. So Nick says it's shocking. If it's shocking, then that's good, like all the mysteries. But you still will be really sad if Oliver or Asher or any of the main characters die. Right. I feel you. I will be too. To be honest, and I've talked about this before, when we had Frank, like, contemplating suicide, I think that was one of the best episodes of this series. And I literally was like on the edge of my seat, seriously feeling like I was going to die because he was about to die. And I really thought they were going to go there with that. And that literally killed me. Nee says that technically Nate is the main character. And you are right. He definitely is. He's definitely been in this since the beginning. When I was talking about throwaway characters, I didn't include him. Like, I don't consider him a throwaway, but I also don't feel like he has the same emotion. I'm not emotionally attached to him as much as the others. However, the actor who plays Nate, I watched him through all the seasons of Dexter, which I bring up Dexter like all the time, but I would be sad just because I feel like I know this man, Billy Brown, and is that his name? Billy Brown, Billy something. And even though like I'm not like a super fan of his character on this show, I would be bothered. I would be bothered by, you know, any of these people dying. Moon says you think Gabriel knows Wes somehow and came to find out what happened to him, and that would explain why Gabe is getting closer to K4 and mostly trying to get close to Laurel. Yeah, I'm starting to think that is our connection instead of what they want you to think, that he's connected to Bonnie. And he seems to really be obsessed with Bonnie in some way, but maybe he thinks... I can't even remember, was Bonnie at all... Did Bonnie do anything to Wes that was sinister, or is there a reason why he would be thinking that? So that's what I'm trying to figure out, if we can make that connection. So Yeen says, why doesn't anyone think it's Bonnie's man who got killed? Well, we definitely have talked about that here, and that was a huge possibility, and I think if they go with a throwaway character, he's one of those, and that could definitely happen. So it says, maybe he starts to get cool with Annalise, and somehow Bonnie and Asher take him out, and Annalise is devastated. The only problem I would have... If Annalise is grieving in this scene over the death of the person, I don't think she would care at all if this Ronnie kid was killed. And she's actually pretty much said to Bonnie, like, you shouldn't be with him. What are you doing? This isn't smart. Mr. Osmond says if they kill a main character, they don't have many options left since they showed 3 of the Keating 4. Okay, so let's think about it this way. So we know Michaela's alive. We know Connor's alive. We know Laurel's alive. So we have Oliver missing. We have, of the main people, I guess we can put Nate in there, Oliver and Nate, and who else are we missing? Oliver, Nate, and Asher. Yes, so definitely very funny that Ronnie is dating Bonnie and Ronnie. So silly. So you know that they definitely can't stick together because that's just stupid. We saw Frank at the wedding, but now within the timeline, did we see, when we saw him, could he possibly still be the victim? Because we saw him like once with Annalise. Could he have died after that? Now we need to think about that because they could be like playing some tricks on us there. That will really bother me. Gabriel, yes, is also an option if we're talking about throwaway characters, because to me, even though he's been the star of this season, he's a new person. We don't really know him, and we probably don't really need him. So, on the other hand, if they decide to kill off one of the other students, we can always have Gabriel as a more permanent fixture if he's not an evil person, if he's actually just doing work because he thinks somebody has, like, wronged a family member or a friend or whatever. And then we can have this person, you know, be a new student, like be a new addition if we get rid of another student. I don't know if that is what they have thought about, or if he's just here for this season and he's gone. So, you know, I feel like there's so many different ways this could go, and there's so many ways to look at this, but I think if you look at it on the surface, you can go ahead and guarantee that none of that's going to happen. So I would say the probability that Bonnie is Gabriel's mom is probably super low, because they have really tried so hard to make us think that that's what's going on. And I'm pretty sure it's not. But if he's not her son, you also have to think that they will want to introduce, you know, they're going to want to use that storyline because we played that up a lot. So her son is out there somewhere. Who is her son? Have we not met her son? And will that be a factor in a later season? Or what's up with that? Now, Arya says there must be a reason for the writers stalling Asher being revealed alive. I feel like when we were trying to figure out who was killed and it was Wes, I feel like they left Asher as one of the last people they uncovered as being alive. I can't remember, but that's kind of what I feel like. Yeen says the person might not die in the snow, and why does Frank and Bonnie know about it? And She has Nate's phone. He's probably in on it. Right. I think the Nate's phone being with Bonnie is another red herring. I definitely think they were super hard trying to make us think that Nate died after showing the phone being with Bonnie and then showing Annalise breaking down, because everyone would think she's going to break down like that over Nate. So I think he's probably not going to die. So I think Nate is safe. Nick says, like, even though right after the scene they moved over to the scene of the victim, it can still be Frank. He could have died after. Yeah, that's definitely what I was thinking. Maybe he did something bad, and that is what he said to Annalise. And that is why she slapped him. So they could definitely be tricking us a little bit here, because we saw him at the wedding. So you're in your mind, you're like, well, we saw him, so he's safe. But we didn't see him in the same context as everyone else. Remember when Bonnie comes back with the blood, we see Michaela, we see Laurel, we see Connor, but we probably saw Frank before that went down. Nee says Annalise looked pretty sad at the end. It must be someone she cares about. I could see her losing it over Frank. Remember, they've been long time friends, kind of like her and Bonnie. Blue Droid says, whatever Frank told AK could be something completely different from whoever died. And that's the other scenario here. She could be breaking down because she got told something terrible, but it wasn't breaking down because of the victim, you know? It wasn't breaking down because of our who dies at the wedding, okay? So Megan says, you might have missed something along the season, but is this the first season that Nate is really involved in a storyline with Bonnie? I feel like yes. What do you guys think? Mean says, everyone acts like Wes had no family or friends before he got to law school. Yeah, so we know that his mom died and everything, but doesn't mean that he went through life and had 0 contacts, 0 friends. I mean, we know that Gabriel would be younger than Wes, but it could have been, I don't know, it could have been someone who was, you know, a good friend of his. I really don't know. You know, I don't know how that plays into it, but it could be connected somehow. Moon says, you wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the show, all the K4 will be dead and Annalise would be just left. I think that's kind of good. I don't really want a happy ending for this show in the very end, so I'm interested to see what they will do. I've always been interested. Evelyn says, how do we know that was blood? Could be wine and the person is drugged by the wine. Definitely look like blood coming down her leg. That's just what I think. Moonglade says, you think Frank told Annalise something like, I lost the baby and that's why she slapped him. Yeah, because there's still a kind of a weird scene with why what's her name, Bonnie, has Christopher out in the snow, also with like someone dying nearby. I don't understand any of that. I still really think that someone is trying to abduct Christopher. There's been a lot of debate about that within my live chats, but something else that kind of made me feel like that's where they were going is that yesterday in the episode when Annalise was visiting Christopher in the daycare, she was like, I could just steal you out of here. And I think maybe that is kind of foreshadowing someone else trying to abduct him. Now, with that being said, is Bonnie's sister going to come start playing a role into all of this? She's stolen a baby before. Maybe she's like insane and wants another baby. I mean, that's totally nuts. Or maybe she just wants to cause drama. I don't know, but I'm just feeling like we have a baby thief in the show. We have, you know, Annalise making that statement about Christopher, you know, wanting to kidnap him, but she was just joking, but, you know, kind of sets things up. And then the weirdness with Bonnie and Christopher and having him in a dangerous situation, and Laurel didn't even know she had him. All of that was kind of weird. I don't know. So Yin says, yeah, the fact that Annalise was about to just go home, what is going on? Maybe someone was just attacked. So, yeah, and we also have Connor's injuries, which we haven't understood what goes on with that yet. We know that probably happened before the wedding day. So what is up with that? And of course, I think it happened before the wedding day. So what's going on with that? Because no one seemed shocked to see his face all messed up, you know? Ethan, hi, how are you? So here's a funny story for you guys. I actually met Ethan in person, yesterday? Because I have been substitute teaching, or I'm going to substitute teach for a couple weeks at like a cinematography class at a high school where I live. So he is one of the students, which is really crazy. It's a small world, and he started watching me when I did Scream videos, and you never know. I think honestly that's like the first subscriber I've ever met in real life, so it's funny. I wish I could be everyone's teacher in here. Wouldn't that be cool? Anyway, AMZ says, you don't think they were stealing the baby because wasn't that person going towards the wedding? I don't know if that was actually happening, but that whole scene, something's wrong. I don't understand. Something just feels really weird about Bonnie having Christopher, Laurel not knowing, Bonnie having him in the snow right beside somebody dying. I just don't get it. Something seems weird about that. Mustafa says, you think Bonnie's triplet dies? I was like, wait, does she have a triplet? Let's hope not. Of course, Ethan. Yes, I think it's a cool story, right? Very cool. Avalon says someone was trying to take the baby from the wedding, and Frank, Nate, and Bonnie stopped them because Bonnie brought the baby back to the wedding. Right. That's kind of how I see it, you know? I don't know. I mean, I don't think they're going to, like, let anything happen to Christopher. Like, I don't think... I still am trying to figure out why Annalise was freaking out. I was going to say, you know, maybe she's, like, distraught because someone was trying to kidnap Christopher, but if it didn't work, I don't think she would be that distraught. I don't know. So I just feel like there's so many different things going on this season, and there's so many things that need to be resolved. And it's actually really interesting because last season, with all of the drama with Laurel's dad, was, like, super boring, and I really just didn't care, you know? So I'm glad that stuff is going on that I care about. I think you guys care about. I think most of you think this is a good season, right? I think it is. And there's just a lot of different things to be answered. So Yeen says, don't forget Bonnie and Annalise are cool now, but they could have fallen out. Remember, we didn't even expect that gunshot last season, and it was the biggest chunk taken out of the mystery until we had actually seen it. Right. So we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, there's always stuff that goes down and we can't expect it, but I think we only have a couple, maybe 3 more episodes before we take our break until the winter half of the show. So we know, I mean, I guess they're going to tell us who dies at the wedding in the, like, this finale, right? That's what I was assuming. Like, we're not going to have to wait until 2019, right? So we don't really have that much time left before we find out. So we will find out pretty soon, which is very interesting, I think. Well, I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and thank you guys for being here. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Be sure to thumbs up this video if you're watching after I was live, and remember, I always reply to all comments, so if you're watching this after it aired, you can leave your thoughts and theories, and I will definitely get back to you. Mustafa's wondering if Laurel and Frank teamed up to kill Laurel's mom. Well, I still feel like Laurel killed her mom, and we just haven't unveiled that yet. Yeen's asking, who do I think will be the next person revealed safe next week? So did they actually reveal someone as safe this week? I feel like maybe they didn't. And I don't know if they, because they spent that season, like, when Wes died, like, every week they're like, we're going to unveil someone who lives. But, like, they didn't, I don't know if they're kind of doing the same thing this time. Avalon says Bonnie and Nate struggled with the person and their phones got switched. That could be this, you know, I think that's just a total red herring. But anyway, thank you guys so much for being here. And I really enjoyed talking to you guys, and I will see you soon. Bye, guys.